Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Innovators. Today's episode contains two fantastic guests, both representing Olympus Insights and their product, Ollie, the AI tutor. This is going to be a really fun conversation. It includes a live demo, and I'm extremely pleased to have both Nate Barkell and Mark Elliott with me today. Let's get right to it. So welcome to Innovators. I would like to dive right into the story of how both Nate and Mark came up with and started to build Olympus Insights. So let's do a quick round of introductions, just a quick little bio, and what led you to each other and this incredible mission that you're on and this company that you're building with this incredible product.
Go for it, Nate.
All right. So, hey, everyone. My name's Nate. I'm a school teacher from Perth, Western Australia. And I met Mark a bit over 2 years ago, probably 2.5 years ago now, in a Twitter space of all places. So I've been teaching for 10 years in math, science, health, and physical education, and seeing all different parts of the education system, the good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between. And I had this idea that I thought it could all be done better. I said, saw too many students fail, or the system failed too many students, better than the student actually failing. And thought there has to be a better way to reach out and engage these students to help them maximize what they're getting from their educational experience. The pandemic presented us an interesting time to learn and an interesting time to find new ways to engage. And that is a big part of the inspiration that got us to where we are today. Coming through the pandemic, we had to learn about online education, and not just online education, but engaging online education, because we're competing with things like a PlayStation or an Xbox. I'd like to say we're competing with kids wanting to go outside and ride their bikes and climb trees, but hey, let's be real, we're competing with a PlayStation. And we had to find the best platforms to do that. And we found some, and there was some that were decent, but I always thought it could be done better. Then a similar sort of time frame, we're going all of a sudden this really exciting time, which was a crypto bull run, where Bitcoin went from $3,000 to nearly $70,000. And I'd been in the space for a little while at this point, so I had a little bit of an idea of what was going on. I was still learning. I think I'm still learning today, but I knew a hell of a lot more than most of my friends, and definitely most of my family. And they were coming to me for answers. And I was thinking, where am I going to send these people? Like, where can they go to learn? To a YouTuber? Or let's look at the history of some of those YouTubers. I'm not going to go into that too much, but we know that there was no safe, secure access and entry point for people to go and learn everything they need to know about Web3. And the places that were offering it, the most prevalent ones, were not necessarily the most trustworthy. So we wanted to come out with a better system. So combining all of that inspiration from my education background and the bull run that we were experiencing, sort of came up with this idea that I wanted to do Web3 education, and I wanted to put it into a online platform, a app that could be not only on your computer, but in the palm of your hands on your mobile, and deliver the most high quality education that we could. That's where I was pitching this idea in a Twitter space, and was very fortunate to meet Mark. Mark's got a wealth of experience that he'll tell you about, and we sort of hit it off from there.
Well, let's hear about that, Mark. A little bit about your background and what was it about what Nate was talking about that led you to reach out?
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. Look, I've basically been in corporate Australia for 25 years. In the telco IT infrastructure game. Used to work for some of Australia's largest corporations. About 10 years ago, I moved away and started a couple of businesses, managed to build those up and sell them. About 4 years ago, we started a software development business where we're building basic mobile apps, web platforms for various customers, B2C, B2B. And I got into crypto. Look, 2013 was when I went to a Bitcoin conference in the Gold Coast and bought my first Bitcoin. Just thought that the government would never allow Bitcoin to succeed, so I sort of jumped out. I got back in 2017 when I seen Charles's whiteboard video, and been here ever since. So yeah, look, I'm Nate. We do this. Well, we were doing a space 4 hours a day, 3 days a week, called Cardano, and Nate used to obviously be on there regularly, and we got talking. And look, I love the passion that Nate had for educating kids and educating anybody, right? It's really not a kids platform; it's anybody. Um, but look, I'd had some prior experience. A friend of mine invested in a business in the Sunshine Coast in Australia. And look, long story short, I had a look at their books. I realized that essentially these guys were just raising money to stay alive and really were burning through cash. So I just finished a role. I was in between sort of like just sold a business, and I had some opportunity to go up there and basically sit down with the guys and understand the business strategy. And long story short, we managed to turn that from a loss-making business into Australia's largest newsletter publishing platform in the school system in Australia. It's now in 6 countries, and it's doing very well. But through that process, I understood it's really tough selling to schools, right? It's literally one principal at a time, one business services manager at a time. It's a very organic growth profile. It takes a long time to build up traction. Look, they're generally very loyal, and it's good for long-term revenue, but it's a really tough grind. So I wanted to give Nate as much advice as I could. I didn't really want to step into that journey because, look, I'm running another business, right? Which, when you're running your own business, and we've got like 26 developers, so it's not a small business, lots of things going on. Anyway, look, we talked offline. I suppose our initial engagement was he was approached by a developer that said he could build the LMS side of the business, for a couple of grand in a couple of weeks. And I just said, look, there's no way that can happen. Not if you want a scalable global platform. So anyway, we wrote down a functional specification, gave it back to the developer. He never heard from him again. And then I thought, look, you know what? I actually see education as a space that if we did it correctly and we went into the right markets first, could be globally scalable. And this is really at a B2C level. The schools we can still do, but I don't think we should lead with schools because of that organic, slow growth process. And then we obviously had this, we had a company obviously around the world called Teachable that had done very well in essentially the dedicated education space. So we sort of segmented the markets into 3 groups. Decided that, look, there wasn't really a go-to destination for crypto and broader education. The other thing in the background that my company was working on was essentially AI. And we were at the prototyping stage for a government organization in Australia. And I really felt that the models were getting to a point where we were on the cusp of being able to use AI in education. Now, that would be a tremendous benefit to millions of people around the world, because obviously we know through Benjamin Bloom's research in 1984 that one-on-one tutoring is a very, very powerful learning mechanism and can take you from a 50th percentile student to a top 2 percentile student, and hence why it's a $65 billion industry around the world now because of that power. So we felt, look, if we could build an AI tutor that could give personal tutoring in any language to anybody regardless of location or income, that would be a game-changing idea. And we've been working on that. And look, Nate is going to show you, I suppose, our AI tutor prototype today. So we're excited to show it to you. A world first.
I am absolutely excited. Good job. Nate did not tell me what he was going to demo. He said he wanted my reaction to be on screen, and it is. And so I'll share with the audience what brought me to Nate and Mark. It was actually an introduction to a friend, Cole Bartlett, who is an incredible advisor of the Hyper Appliance project, which is a co-venture of HyperCycle. And it came from my role as an ambassador with HyperCycle when I went to Argentina and had the good fortune of being introduced to the Minister of Education for the country. And he simply stated, we know we want to get into AI, but obviously it's a big field. We're not technically savvy yet, but we believe there's an entry point here. And that entry point would be, if you folks could help us put together something that will allow our first graders to score better with reading comprehension, that we believe that there could be a scalable educational product line, and let's see what we can put together. Now, that was back in October of 2024. Obviously, it's May of 2025, and we haven't worked together to produce that product. But I believe that everything that you're doing on your end with Olympus Insights and everything we're doing at Hyper Appliance and HyperCycle will eventually have those roads cross, and we will be able to bring literally transformative tech to the masses. And whether they adopt it or not, it will be completely on them. But transformable tech nonetheless is transformable tech. And all of the indicators are showing that this is the path to go. Like, Nate's got some great stats on the benefits of a tutor for people. My personal educational path was, I had struggled in public school. I came up in the 70s and the 80s and started university and struggled. So academia was extremely difficult for me. And the only times I really did do well was when I did get tutelage, when I got one-on-one help. And for AI to be able to augment that, because obviously every student today cannot get a human one-on-one tutor. But boy, what we can do with an AI version of that. So why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead and just cut right into the demo? Nate, I think you're ready, right? Let's go ahead and show that demo, and hopefully it'll inform the rest of this incredible interview. I'm really excited.
All right, Jerry, so this is our Olympus Insights AI tutor prototype. I'm incredibly excited to show you. You can set your preferred language and it will be able to talk to you in your desired language. We'll start with English today and we'll see what we can do. We can pick if we want to have a typing chat, voice chat. If you want to have your avatar speaking to you, that'll be ready to demonstrate very soon as well. So imagine having your best teacher or your favorite personality or whatever it might be. You want to get taught about basketball from Michael Jordan or his likeness, then this is something that's very achievable with the Ollie AI tutor. So let's enter the world of Olympus Insights. So for anyone that is not familiar, this is the Ollie education platform, and I'm going to be working with the tutor on there. Hi, tutor, can you confirm that you can see my screen?
I see the Ollie education platform, and it looks like you are about to work with a tutor. Is there anything about this platform that you would like to discuss?
Yeah, I just really need your help. I'm going to dive into a course and see how we go, because there's a few things I've been struggling with. Could you just please read the title of this course to me?
The title of the course is Introduction to Cryptocurrency Charts. Would you like me to read the overview as well?
No, that's totally fine. Thank you. Let's just dive on in.
Okay, you are now...
Okay. So yeah, we're in the course, and I've been learning about cryptocurrency charts. As I've been working through, this word keeps coming up: decentralization. What does that mean?
Decentralization in cryptocurrency refers to the absence of a central authority controlling the network. Instead, the network is distributed among many users, making it more resistant to censorship and single points of failure. What are your thoughts on decentralization?
Yeah, I think it's actually a very interesting topic. I'm sitting here with my friend Jerry, and he actually speaks fluent Spanish but struggles to understand English. Could you please explain decentralization to him in Spanish?
In Spanish, la descentralización en criptomonedas se refiere a la ausencia de una autoridad central que controle la red. En cambio, la red se distribuye entre muchos usuarios, lo que la hace más resistente a la censura y a los puntos únicos de fallo. Is there anything else you would like me to translate?
That's incredible for the moment. So I
Got
I do really appreciate your help because me and Jerry have just been working at this for quite a while now, and yeah, just having your clarification helps us to get a lot further through. We were looking at this price chart. Could you explain to me what is a bullish flag pattern?
A bullish flag pattern is a chart formation that signals the continuation of an upward trend after a brief pause. It appears as a small rectangle or flag, sloping against the primary trend, suggesting the price is consolidating before another move higher. Do you find this explanation helpful?
Yeah, that's incredibly helpful. Thank you so much. I'm just going to dive into the quiz now. So I did start working through this, but I thought it would be much easier to progress through with your assistance. So it says, what is the primary purpose of cryptocurrency charts? And I'm just having a bit of trouble trying to explain that to Jerry. So could you read that question to Jerry in Spanish once more?
In Spanish, ¿cuál es el propósito principal de los gráficos de criptomonedas? To predict the exact price of cryptocurrencies in the future, to provide a visual representation of price movements and trading volume, to list all cryptocurrencies available in the market, or to calculate the total number of coins mined.
Awesome, thank you. And I do have another friend here
Of
with
the-
me, Mark, and Mark actually understands things better if it's explained to him in Japanese. Could you just read the question, not the answers, in Japanese, please?
In Japanese, 暗号通貨チャートの主な目的は何ですか?
Excellent, thank you so much. I do also just need a little bit of
What are the
help.
possible answers?
I know that's totally fine. I think you've helped us with that question enough. I do have another question here that I need your help with. Can you still see my screen now that I've got this diagram up?
Yes, I can see the diagram of the circulatory system with instructions to label the sections of the heart. Can I help you label the diagram?
Yeah, so I'm just having a lot of trouble remembering what the part of the heart is that's labeled number 3. Can you remind me what number 3 would be?
Number 3 on the diagram appears to be the right ventricle. Is
Of
there
course.
another part? Is
Yes.
there another number on
I just need some help now. If you could explain
RTH?
So if you could explain to me and for my friend Jerry, the flow of blood through the heart in Spanish, because I've got it now that I've got the right ventricle. I understand it in English, but could you explain it to Jerry in Spanish for me?
En Spanish, el flujo de sangre a través del corazón comienza cuando la sangre desoxigenada entra en la aurícula derecha. Luego, pasa al ventrículo derecho y es bombeada hacia los pulmones para oxigenarse. La sangre oxigenada regresa a la aurícula izquierda, pasa al ventrículo izquierdo y finalmente es bombeada hacia el resto del cuerpo. Is that helpful?
That was incredibly helpful. And there's just one other little bit of homework that we've been working on getting ready for our exams, and that's this maths problem. Can you see my maths problem, question 10?
Yes, I see the math problem. It
Okay.
describes a ladder.
So yeah, I've been working on this problem, but I missed a couple of lessons. I know that it's about triangles, but what specifically about the triangle am I really like? Which field of mathematics am I working with here?
This problem involves trigonometry. You'll need to use trigonometric functions like sine, cosine, or tangent to determine the angle the ladder forms with the ground. Would you like me to walk you through how to set up the problem using these functions?
Oh, I know I can label the length of the ladder as 2.75 meters, and I can label the height of the wall 2.5 meters. But I'm just having trouble remembering which ratio do I use.
Since you have the opposite side, height of the wall, and the hypotenuse, length of the ladder, you would use the sine function. Sine is defined as the ratio of the opposite side to the hypotenuse. Does that help clarify which ratio to use?
Yeah, that's incredibly helpful. Thank you so much, Cheetah. You are a legend.
Well, there we go. We wanted to get your reaction on screen. I can just see those big smiles.
I'll tell you that from where I'm sitting, I'm just filled with excitement and actually it's almost hard to describe the possibilities, right?
Yeah.
If you think about what it takes to create a PhD in this world, right? It's an extremely expensive, long journey to take somebody through that academic track, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, I think it's some extremely low percentage of the overall population. I mean, extremely low. Like there's only 400,000 PhDs on the entire planet, and we've got almost 8 billion people. I mean, obviously, some of those people are too young to do it, but the point is, it's still a very, very small percentage. And if you think about what a tutor can do for somebody's academic track, how does that scale to the proportionate number of people in 20 years after this tech is disseminated out in the world?
Yeah.
And how many of these people who are getting tutored are going to stay in school longer, follow academic tracks longer, and produce higher quality outputs when they do enter whatever work track, field, industry that they get into. It's extremely exciting. And to think that I'm this close to you guys, that like I'm close to the guys that are going to help make that possible. I might be able to help connect you to a country that actually is thinking along the same lines as you are, and add to your, growth. Because I want to, HyperCycle and Hyper Appliance want to be a part of that also.
Yeah.
So my live reaction is one of awe and excitement, but it's kind of exactly what I thought you guys were building when we first started talking, because we've talked about this in great length in other conversations. And it's like, man, the ability to do this in every language for every country on the planet at some point for pennies, literally pennies of what it would normally cost an academic track. Let's walk down that journey. So you guys have done most of all the research. What does it cost in Australia to produce a PhD? Do you guys remember?
Oh, look, PhDs, well, it's 5 years? Look, it depends what subject you're in, but I'd say $150,000 to $200,000, somewhere in that region, I would imagine. Maybe more depending on the subject. Obviously, if you're in medical or something.
It's north of that in the United States. It's north of that in the United States. Now, factor in harnessing technologies like with what you're doing, My Tutor. Oh wait, we don't call it My Tutor anymore. Time out. Edit. What? It's just Olympus AI Tutor.
We're calling it the Ollie AI Tutor.
Ollie AI Tutor. Okay, hang on. Take a deep breath. So with technologies like the Ollie AI Tutor, we can obviously start inserting mathematical models of bringing that cost to a PhD down, right? I don't know what that is today. I don't know if you know exactly what that is today. But when you can bring a deflationary force that produces better outcomes and more cost-effective tracks, you're going to get adoption if there is need or demand.
So I suppose let's just frame that up, because I think that is a very relevant point, because all technology, it feels quite magical, but at the same time, what essentially are the benefits, and what are the scalability opportunities? So right now, in Australia, let's say for an hour of a personal human tutor, which typically comes to your home or meets you somewhere, is $70 to $100 per hour. Right, for a single hour of personal tuition. We'll be offering this, obviously at scale to anybody around the world, 24/7 for roughly $10. So that's literally hundreds of our potential hours of tutoring at a cost that is a fraction of 1% of the same number of hours by a real physical tutor. That now takes tutoring. And look, tutoring is not just, and the accessibility of tutoring is not just a function of cost, although that is a huge driver for lots of people. It's time and resource availability, right? Actually having those tutors available. Well, now there's an infinite number of tutors available across many, many different subjects. at a fraction of the previous cost. So we think that that's very compelling.
Now imagine being able to harness. Oh, sorry, Jerry. I was going to say, just imagine being able to harness the best teacher that you had at school, or the best teachers that you've had in your whole life, and all of their knowledge, and be able to access them 24/7 about any area that you need help with. Not just, oh, that was my favorite math teacher. I really got along with him because I liked maths, and we talked about math stuff. I could have that same person, that same likeness, that same personality type as my tutor, helping to teach me about a sport, a area of if I'm on a functional anatomy and something in the human body, cryptocurrency, languages, whatever it might be. And yeah, doing all of that 24/7. You don't have to worry about fatigue. You don't have to worry about them going on a holiday, anything like that. That Ollie AI tutor is with you wherever you go, whenever you need it.
Infinitely patient tutor as well.
That's the thing. So, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, Nate, but we both were thinking kind of roughly the same thing. And I'll add my 2 cents. I distinctly remember listening to a Michael Saylor interview when he first got involved in Bitcoin. That's when I kind of discovered him. And he talked about his Saylor Academy, right? And how digital education was going to transform education, in that you could take the very best, most successful teachers, digitize them. Now all of a sudden the masses are being educated by the very best educators.
Yeah.
Obviously you're going to get better outcomes, right? When just like the very best painter painting my home, it's going to look cleaner, crisper, cost less. There'll be less things to, or same with carpentry, same with any skill position of anything. It doesn't matter. And this whole environment of education is so ripe for this kind of innovation, partially, and I'm excited for the teachers who will be able to augment what they're doing with this, right? It's very famously known in the United States, teachers are not paid well. Yet they're the ones that spend the most time with American children, are the teachers, not the parents, the teachers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, wow, we've got the people that have the highest amount of influence, generally speaking, on children getting paid the least. Can you imagine how many of them aren't doing their best? I can imagine quite a few don't do their best. And I'm not trying to diss teachers. I'm saying, holy moly, what a tool to help them. And I know from my work experience, when I'm enjoying my work experience, I do better.
Yeah.
Actually, I can't imagine a teacher would be any different.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because Nate actually literally just showed his school principal. I think it was yesterday or the day before, right? Because obviously there's two camps here. There's people that don't have access to good quality teaching and education, but there's still a huge role for this type of technology in assisting teachers who have a lot of things to think about, right? And obviously one of the main things we want teachers to do is actually teach our kids how to be socially responsible, people in society, right? So there's as much of a, basically a social engineering role to it. But if you can take away some of the aspects of the learning, that gives them more opportunity to focus on some of the things. So anyway, Nat, give us, what was the response from your principal?
He was over the moon. So we started our discussion just talking about the general classroom experience. So if you're to put everyone in the shoes of a maths teacher, for example, you've got on average 32 students in your class. And those 32 students you see 4 hours a week as a group. But on an individual lesson, you will have 10 minutes or so to get the students into class, take attendance, get their books out, get them ready to go. And then you've got a similar amount of time at the end to do a conclusion, wrap everything up. And then you add in a little bit of teaching time, and you're probably left with about half an hour where the students can actually be trying to get your one-on-one time. Half an hour across 32 students is less than 1 minute per student that you can work with them. Sometimes it takes longer than that for the student to articulate their problem if they're willing to speak to you about it, which often there may be bravado or nerves or anxiety behind them not wanting to speak to you about it. So you talk about 1 minute per student per lesson, 4 minutes per student per week. It's not very much time to actually work with them. So we discussed the idea that literally the teacher could do their teaching experience, then they can have the students chuck on a set of headphones and start working with the Olympus AI tutor while the teacher is still able to get around. But then the students that are excelling can be pushed further. The students that are struggling can be caught up. And the teacher can be really directing their time to the people that need it the most while this is all happening. There's incredible power. He basically said, what do we need to do to help? He's like, you want to implement this to do some trials with the students where they can get on and actually test out the tutor, give you more feedback. Because I work in a relatively low socioeconomic school. We've got students that have struggling families. We've got students that have just arrived into the country that barely speak the language, and everything in between. So being able to offer this tutor that can speak to a student in, say, the Filipino language Tagalog would be a huge advantage in my school, because we have a lot of students that would benefit from that. We have students that at home, there may not be someone to help them with their homework or to motivate them and push them. No matter how much they value education, they don't have anyone to help to enhance that journey. So when they have that inkling to be like, hey, I really could use some support on my maths assignment, my whatever it is, they could fire up the Ollie AI tutor and get everything they need around the clock. And making it affordable. I remember going through my university entrance exams and paying, as Mark mentioned, around $80 to $90 an hour for a tutor because I wanted to get into the right university.
Yeah.
Most people don't have access, I say most people, a lot of people don't have access to that. So if we could bring them that service at around $10 a month across all learning areas, it's going to absolutely revolutionize their experience and the whole educational journey. So my principal was like, get us access to the Ollie platform because that's going to be huge. Get us access to the Ollie AI tutor because that's going to change lives. And whatever you need to do to get us from where you are to having this thing roll out in a scalable manner, we're happy to help. And he said, make sure you look after us on the other end of it. Obviously, that's all good. So yeah, his excitement, the staff I've shown around the school. Before I demonstrated for you in Spanish, I went and spoke to the Spanish teacher. I was like, look, I've got a call coming up with Jerry, and he's very passionate about his Spanish and literacy in that space. So I want to show you this thing. And she was just like, holy crap, what did you just show me? Where is the tutor? Where's this person? Are they on the other end of your screen? I was like, this is the power of AI. It's a very exciting journey.
It really is. And so one of the things that I know that financial modeling of these things will change as adoption changes, as innovations continue to come into play. But the one thing that is actually very exciting are the outcomes that will be produced, right? And so whether it's $5 a month or $50 a month or 50 cents a child per month, I don't know. I'm not that sophisticated, but I can tell you, just from my own experience, I know that when I get one-on-one help with anything, I get better at it. I understand it richer, with more complexity and nuance, and the immediate feedback loop that your technology is offering. There is nothing better for a human. That is literally our whole existence. Is we're in the world, interacting in it, and its feedback to us is informing everything we do. And that is literally what you've built for academic endeavors. And so I am so grateful that I met both of you, right? And that we're going to get to collaborate on many different things down the road, whether it be this particular product or others that the world should know about you. And that is hence why you were invited here to Innovators, because you truly are bringing something incredible into the world. as we close up, I want to get your like closing shots. Like what if one of you lead the way here? What would you like Ollie AI Tutor, what would you like to see its legacy be, let's say in 25 years?
Me personally, I mean, look, the reason we ended up going on this journey, and we obviously talked about the backstory and the possibility of applying this type of technology to education, is really, the ability to educate people all around the world. And look, I've got a particular passion around developing nations. We have a lot of people in, Nigeria, and Kenya, and Gambia, and Cameroon, and Ethiopia that we work with. And when you sort of see, the resources they have access to, you can understand why we have this persistent divide amongst the West and the rest of the world. And the only thing, in my opinion, that can change that divide is education. It literally is the foundation stone on which any prosperity can be achieved from, right? You need education. So as much as I'm excited about taking this and obviously, having it available to anybody around the world, I'm particularly interested in seeing how we can lift people via education out of the situation they're in and give more people more opportunity around the world.
Thank you,
Mark. I'll piggyback on that because I very much reflect the sentiment. And like when you come into school or whenever you have that first someone always asks you, what do you want to do when you grow up?
Yeah.
Whether that's at school or if it's before, someone will ask you that question. And kids will say like all sorts of things. And they are truly all possible. But this is going to make all of those things more possible. Okay? The student that doesn't have the financial backing or the home support or the access to certain advantages, being able to plug into the AI tutor will make it. If they say, hey, I want to be an astronaut, they can go and learn every single thing they need to know about being an astronaut. They can have their tuition entirely tailored to that outside of their school experience or within their school experience. This is going to be the thing that gives everyone the access to do what they actually want to do, regardless of their own situation. That's what I'm most excited to be able to do, and to be able to say that we helped people, no matter where they are, no matter what walk of life, to actually achieve their goals. Like, how could you want anything more than that? So that's what I get excited for.
No, it is truly a great time to be where we are doing what we're doing. On behalf of HyperCycle, I know we're very excited to very shortly be able to what we'll call aimify what you're doing and make that available so that you are interacting with the internet of AI with your particular AI. And from the Hyper Appliance perspective, we're excited about being able to offer a platform decentralized so that municipalities around the world and communities can host that AI. And so that it's not dependent on monolithic monster football field long data centers, but yet small, very capable, robust local networks. And I think this will even further add to the dissemination of the wealth that's being generated through education and productivity and all of these incredible things that come when we learn things. But also the character that it builds, right? And so on behalf of HyperCycle and Hyper Appliance, we're so glad to be in your orbit, right? And eventually being able to collaborate and bring your products to our ecosystems. And with that, from Costa Rica, I want to say Pura Vida.
From Perth, Western Australia, I want to say thank you so much, Jerry, for having us. It's been a great experience. You've done an amazing thing with this with your show. So thank you for having us, and I look forward to collaborating with you in the future.
Yeah, exactly. And from Sydney, Australia, it's been great to catch up again, Jerry, as always. Looking forward to speaking soon, mate.
All right. And that'll be the end of the show. So that was the show for today, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. And like always, we'd like to encourage you to not only like, but subscribe to the channel for future content. See you next time.